Today's Oracle card reading for personality type 9 is a pretty strong, clear message that it's time to stop deferring and start living. Type 9, this one is for you. Hello, personality type 9. Let's do a card reading for you today to see what is an important message for you to hear. I give personality type 2 names, the healer or the submissive, and this orients around a theme of peace. Can you make life peaceful without abandoning your inner truth? That is the crux of being a personality type 9. So let's see what the Oracle cards have to say for you. I am using 2 decks. I'm using the Archetype cards by Carolyn Meese, and I'm using the Becoming Dragon cards by Chris Beasley. Both of these have a light attribute and a shadow attribute message where they're comparing the higher consciousness version compared to the ego-driven version of the personality type, which is also what I'm doing when I'm giving you those 2 names. One is for when you are aligned with your higher self, and the other is when your ego is running the show, which, don't worry, that happens to us all. It's not just you, but we want to help you get into the high side of your personality type because that's your happiest life. That's when you're in the flow. That's when your helper team is assisting you. When I say helper team, I mean your higher self, your guides, your angels, and your ascended masters. You have very, very high level assistance available to you, but only when you're in your heart, only when you're open and surrendered and willing to receive. More often we are in our ego, which kind of closes the heart. It kind of shuts us down. We've got a lot of negative chatter going on in the mind, and that is blocking us from receiving guidance from our helper team. The other thing to know about your helper team is they do not intervene on anything on your behalf unless you request it. They are honoring your free will, even if that means you are free to make ridiculous choices and terrible mistakes. They're going to let you do it and learn the hard way, but you don't have to learn the hard way. If you developed a habit of going into the heart and receiving, you would be living much more aligned with higher consciousness, which is your happiest timeline. Okay. These cards I love so much, but they are way too big for my hands. I really have a hard time shuffling them. Okay. Can you see what I'm doing? Do you have a message for type 9 today, please? Interesting. Let me just check. Okay. When I've got all the lights on at me, I've got very poor eyesight anyway, and then with all the bright lights, I can never see. So I'm back and forth with these readers. Okay. The first card that I pulled is called the Storyteller. I can see that the lights are in the way. I wonder if I turn it off if you can see better. Storyteller. The shadow attribute of the storyteller is making up tales that harm others. Making up tales that harm others. okay, I had to sit with why is this a type 9 message? Because I don't think of type 9s as making up stories to harm others. 9s are never trying to harm anyone. 9s are incredibly peace oriented and keeping the peace. However, you know, these cards always make me like really out people, unfortunately. So what is a big theme for the type 9 is not speaking your truth. Type 9s will surrender, will smother really what they believe, what they want, because they feel like it's safer to tell other people what they want to hear. So even though type 9s are such kind, gentle people, really caring, it's kind of startling to realize that a lot of 9s can get a reputation as being a liar. And it's not because you have malice in your heart and you're trying to like trick people in a mean way. It's just you have a tremendous amount of fear of speaking the truth. And so you always go with that safe bet when you're in your ego anyway, by telling other people what they want to hear. And this leads your whole life very far away from what you wish it would be. When you don't speak up for your truth, then you are not directing your own life in a straightforward way. You're doing a lot of sort of passive aggressive communication instead. And also you're leading your relationships astray. You're letting them believe that you agree with them or that you want what they want, or, you know, they think they know you and they think they understand you. And in fact, you're really not letting them know who you are at all, because it feels like your fear is that if you assert anything about yourself, that the conflict will be really loud and messy. It'll be a lot of hostile energy coming your way. And type 9s are so conflict averse, so really undone by the thought of there being conflict. Just really don't feel like they have what it takes to face the onslaught of intense energy coming their way if there's a big disagreement. P.S. That's not true, type 9. You are fully capable of reckoning with whatever comes your way. You're incredibly strong. And most people who are in relationships with type 9s, that's how we think of you, as your ability to endure is quite impressive. So don't sell yourself out like that. Don't sell yourself short. It doesn't have to be a conflict to disagree. It doesn't have to be a fight. In particular, there is a communication technique you should learn about called nonviolent communication. It was invented by Dr. Rosenberg, I believe is his name. I better check. I'll look it up. Nonviolent communication. It's a script that controls what you say in order to keep a difficult conversation from escalating. As long as you stay focused on your feelings and your needs, there is nothing offensive in that. There's nothing controversial. So when you're trying to communicate with somebody about what you want, as long as you're not blaming other people, implying that they're doing something bad and wrong to you, as long as you are not holding a judgment in the way you communicate, everything's going to go fine. So when you just stick with how you feel and what you need, that is universal. Those are universal human experiences, and whoever you're speaking to will be able to relate and understand. So any conversation is navigating the dynamics between the parties to find a way to peacefully come together. It's always a possibility. And in fact, type 9, you are here to be the leader of that. Type 9s are here to bring harmony. Harmony is your highest purpose. So that takes authenticity, that takes speaking truth, and that takes creating a safe space for everybody to speak their truth, and there's nobody built for it better than you. So please trust yourself, trust the truth, trust your authenticity. Allow yourself to really be seen and known. It's going to create a safe space for everybody to speak truthfully. It's really going to be okay. Okay, the second card that I pulled for you is called the Warrior. Let me look at it. It's a woman holding a bolt of lightning. I love it. And we're looking at the light attribute of this warrior card: strength, skill, discipline, and toughness of will, heroism, stoicism, and self-sacrifice in conquering the ego. So this version of the warrior is never about weapons and having a warring on someone. This is the battle within yourself to master that ego. We all have an ego. It is our survival mechanism. It is supposed to be there. However, the ego does not have big picture understanding like your higher self does. Your higher self is the aspect of you, it's sort of your spirit, the energy of you which inserts into a body. And only about 10% of your consciousness is being held in your body, and the other 90% is non-physical and it's sort of around you. So the higher self is the guidance that is aligned with God, is aligned with source, aligned with the flow of the universe, aligned with abundance. That is your highest, best self and your greatest asset. There are processes for being able to connect to your higher self, which is simply quieting the mind and going into the heart. I say simply, it actually takes some practice and some effort, but it's not like it's that hard to do. So being a light warrior is about being willing to be strong and courageous to face your ego and master it. Your ego is, for you, type 9, so each of the personality types, the personality type includes the ego. So there's kind of 9 versions of ego. So we each of these personality types are struggling with totally different ego issues than each other. But yours is all about trying to make yourself small, invisible, silent, just totally disappearing in order not to cause waves. You are trying not to create any conflict, not to be annoying or problematic. It's a survival mechanism because it's the idea of like, oh, if I just make myself small like a mouse, then I can hang in the community and no one will mind me. I'll be safe. I won't be kicked out of the tribe because I'm not a problem to anybody. And I'm nice and I tell people what they want to hear. So it's coming from a survival perspective where like, oh no, I could be on my own at any moment and then I would be screwed, right? I could never survive on my own, so I need to do whatever I need to do in order to stay included with everybody. So that's not true. You have everything it takes to survive on your own, and you are never on your own. You always have your helper team with you, and certainly you have many relationships and people who really love you, love your kind nature, your generosity, your compassion. So you are quite loved and wanted, type 9. You really don't have to worry that if you speak up and assert yourself that you are going to be ousted or ostracized. So this light warrior is reminding you about strength, skill, discipline, and toughness of will. You are capable of all of these things. I bet as you heard me listing this, you were like, no, that's not me. I'm not strong. I'm not skilled. I'm not disciplined. I'm not tough. That's the ego saying that. Because actually you're an incredibly powerful being of light, aligned with source. You've got everything you need. You've got what it takes. You are fully capable of being strong, skilled, tough, assertive. But you have to practice. You have to practice it. It doesn't just happen on its own. The ego is the default. The ego is, so the default is, oh, not, little old me, oh no, I couldn't possibly. Your ego has you playing small. Your ego has you thinking small about yourself. And so this card is really trying to remind you that that is not true. You have power. You have courage. You have a strong will. You are capable of anything. You have to believe in yourself. And that comes from loving yourself. Self-love is the answer to all issues. All problems are because we don't have enough love for ourselves. The more we love ourselves, trust ourselves, believe in ourselves, we could do anything, absolutely anything. Love is the language of the universe. Love is what power is made of. And so aligning with love for yourself is what fills you with a sense of confidence and capability and self-trust. Okay, the last card that I pulled is called the Vampire. The Vampire. This is about being an energy vampire. The shadow attributes of the vampire: depleting others for your psychic survival, chronic complaining, and codependency. These can be such unflattering cards. I'm so sorry, Type 9, because you're such a sweet person. This is really calling out your shadow side. So codependency is, I want what you want. I do what you do. I need what you need. I'm not a complete person unto myself. I don't have an identity that's totally my own. I try to kind of merge my identity with the romantic partner or the group or the family, whatever culture you're inside, you are sort of aligning your identity with theirs. And so this really leaves you from living the life that you want. You are really kind of saying, I'll just do what you want to do. I'll just be like you. I'll just want what you want. I don't need anything. I don't matter. My opinions, my needs, my desires, they're not the important ones. Yours are. And oh yeah, I totally want what you want. So that goes back to that storyteller, right? Oh, 100%. I love onions when really I hate onions. Or I love this neighborhood that we live in, that we moved to for your job. It's fine, even though you're actually really unhappy. So again, this is about having the courage and the strength to be an autonomous person, separate from other people. You came here for your own purpose. You did not come here to just be the tag along on somebody else's purpose or somebody else's journey. You came here to have your own journey, which is your own desires, your own needs, your own wants. So then there's also the depleting others for your psychic survival. What this looks like for the Type 9 is shutting down and checking out. This is the MO for the Type 9s. Type 9s, I mean, you seem like you're there. I can see you. I'm laying my eyes on you, but you're not really there. You're really checked out. There's a lot of agreeing to things while you're in this kind of checked out state that you later do not remember ever agreeing to. Or like we were talking about with the storyteller, they're saying, yes, I agree. I'll totally do that for you. And then you don't. And so the way this is depleting to other people is that you're leaving them holding the bag. You're making false promises that you don't follow through on, and that creates extra work for the other person who thought they could count on you, and then you didn't do it, and now they have to do it. So honestly, type 9s leave their people in a bad situation pretty often because they thought they could count on you and it turned out that they couldn't, and now they're scrambling. And it's really interesting for somebody who loves peace so much and harmony, how often you're actually creating rage in the people around you because of that storytelling, right? Not speaking your truth is basically lying to other people. I know you don't think about it like that, but for somebody who wants to belong, who wants to be liked, who doesn't want to make problems, this creates an enormous amount of problems for other people, and then they're really angry with you. And then if they come at you with their anger, this shuts you down even further. So the partner ends up being in a really uncomfortable situation where there's so much of you that they love and enjoy, but there are this is a deal breaker problem. I'm going to be really honest with you and tell you this was a reason that I divorced my type 9. And I won't mention which husband that was. But feeling like you don't really have a partner when you married somebody is a really depressing situation to be in as the spouse. This is encouraging you to carry your own weight, to be mindful of the agreements that you make, to be present. Being present is, all 9 types, when we're in our ego, we are not present. We're in sort of a trance state. We're really unconscious to what we're doing. These are not choices that you're making on purpose. They're not choices any of us make on purpose. So being present is the challenge for us all. But in your case, what that looks like is putting all your energy into your interactions. Type 9s perceive themselves as not having a lot of energy and as not feeling strong. And so you are kind of trying to couch how much energy you're actually allowing yourself to put forth. You're trying not to put your whole self into any endeavor. You're trying to be half checked out. And this can occur in lots of different ways. Listening to something else while you're having a conversation, smoking weed and having conversations where later on you don't really remember what you said, or drinking, just trying to not be all the way there. So the belief that you need to release is that I don't have enough energy and I'm not strong. That is not true. That's totally ego BS. As I've said before, you are an incredibly powerful being of light. The way you can access more energy and more of a sense of power, again, is through self-love. If you think of how much love you have for yourself as sort of the opening of, if there were energy coming through a tunnel for you, how big is the tunnel? That's how much self-love you have. If you don't really love yourself, then this closes down and you don't feel like you have a lot of energy or strength or power or courage. So the way to get more is to open yourself up to loving yourself more. And I can say that. I know that you're like, sure, I'd love to love myself more, but I don't actually know how to do that. So I have classes on that. There are techniques that you can learn to connect with the deeper parts of you and to talk to the aspects of yourself that you don't find lovable and to find your compassion and love for them. So those I call that the real you methods, and those are things that I teach in the private membership called the Expansion Society. Okay, well, let's get some more information for you. Now I'm pulling out my Becoming Dragon cards. I can manage these better. Okay. What is the message for type 9, please? Woo! No! Okay. So these have little statements in the cards that I like to refer to because they tend to have 3 bullet point messages for each of the cards, and not every bullet point is for you. So I like to look at it and see how this message is going to relate to you, type 9. So the first card that I'm looking at is called Gratitude versus Entitlement. Gratitude versus entitlement. Is this way. Let's see. Okay, this is interesting. I'm finding that the opposite messages apply to you. So this is normally a card that is a message for type 8. And you are the opposite of type 8. As a type 9, they're extreme in one direction, you're extreme in the opposite direction. So I feel like I'm supposed to read these opposite for you. Okay. Normally, it would say, the attitude I'm entitled to my desires is the ego aspect of the type 8, and I can yield to others' desires is what the type 8 needs to learn. But for you, it's the opposite. The ego aspect for you is I yield to others' desires, and the higher self version is I'm entitled to my desires. Because like we were talking about, you always give in. You never ask to have your way. You always give in and let other people have their way. And you think you're being kind and generous. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had about this with the type 9 where they think that they are being helpful by not asserting a strong opinion about anything. What do you want for dinner? I don't care. What do you want to have for dinner? What movie do you want to see? I don't mind. What movie do you want to see? You think that you're going along, but the other person is trying to engage with an actual real life person. They don't want to just have a relationship with themselves, right? They could watch a show alone. They could eat whatever they wanted by themselves. They're with you. They want to have a joint experience with you, and they want you to bring yourself to the table. So it's actually being an absent partner when you never have an opinion about anything. So you are entitled to your desires, and giving in to other people all the time without ever saying, actually, I would have preferred this, is giving yourself away, is creating problems for your happiness, and it's creating problems for your partner. Your partner wants a partner. Your partner wants there to be somebody there with an opinion. Otherwise, they would stay single, right? Okay, next point. It's better if I have things my way versus I support others in their way. Again, a type 8 would be trying to always have it their way. But a type 9 is always trying to let other people have their way. So this is all about being true to yourself, speaking up for yourself. You don't have to be a jerk about it. It's not bratty to have an opinion, to have a desire. You're not a bad guy for actually preferring things and not other things. That's what being a unique individual is all about. You are a unique, one-of-a-kind person. There's nobody else like you. Even though there's lots of personality type 9s, there's only one type 9 with your spirit inside it. There's only one type 9 with your unique soul. So you are a one-of-a-kind person, and that's interesting, and that's special, and that's important. And allowing yourself to be seen and known is the greatest joy of all. Connecting in love and appreciation with each other is our happiest life. Okay, I'm content with that one. The next card that I pulled is hungry versus provision. Hungry versus provision. And this is a type 9 card. This one is for you. Let's see. Okay, first bullet point. I don't notice when I'm hungry versus I notice when I'm hungry. So yes, this can be food hungry. So let's talk about food for a minute, because it's actually a big thing related to the type 9. And look, the picture is an apple. Can you see? So there's physical hunger, right? And then there's experience hunger, the life that you're hungry for. But let's talk about food for a minute, because type 9s are all about their creature comforts. Type 9s are trying to be comfortable at all times. That's what we were talking about. It's uncomfortable to have difficult conversations, and you don't like that, so you won't do that. You are trying to experience comfort at all times, and that has a lot to do with comfort food. There are lots of 9s where food is an enormous part of your life and the pleasure that you derive out of your life. I'm going to be honest, I'm coming from a health practitioner background. I am an acupuncturist, and I've been studying the health patterns of the personality types for the past 15 years. And I'm just going to be straightforward and tell you that I find most type 9s to be quite overweight. I say it without judgment because girlfriend is too, but nevertheless, the pendulum swings way towards obesity for the type 9 because they don't like to be really active, and they do like really sedating foods, heavy foods, fried foods, dairy, barbecue, cheese, and then desserts, sweets, and then beer and alcohol. It's heavy, things that make you feel sedentary. Type 9s generally are extremely sedentary, and combine that with a large desire for foods. So foods like dairy and fried foods have something called casein in them. It's a chemical that in the brain creates a feeling of addiction. It's a pleasurable experience when you eat casein, which is why we all love it. But it's sedating and it's addicting, and it's one of the primary ways that you're checking out on yourself. That instead of feeling what you're feeling, you sedate it all with these heavy foods. So basically this card about hungry versus provision is, are you eating when you're hungry, or are you eating as a way of not feeling things and of not taking action out in the world? The next bullet point is, I don't know what I'm hungry for versus I know what I'm hungry for. This is about not being in touch with yourself, not really knowing what you want, not really knowing what you desire. You're trying not to consult that in yourself. You're trying always to just do what the other person wants, or what your parents want, or what your girlfriend wants, or what your boss wants, whatever. You're trying not to notice how you feel about anything. So again, this is about becoming present and being willing to really check in with yourself and feel into yourself. What do I actually desire? And so again, this is not just about food. This is also about life experiences. What do you desire? What are you hungry for in life? What kind of life do you want? And the last point, there's not enough abundance for everyone to have some, versus there's enough abundance for all. So that's a message about scarcity. Scarcity is part of ego. We all have scarcity mindset built into our ego survival programming. Scarcity means I believe there's not enough for all. It's the opposite of abundance, which means I believe there's enough for everybody. What I'm going to tell you is the universe is an abundant universe. The universe provides to all whatever they need when they are in the flow. Ego, when you're listening to the survival programming and the ego messaging that's built in, you are not in alignment with flow. You are not in alignment with the law of attraction. So you likely have had experiences where you're going to say back to me, no, it doesn't. The universe doesn't take care of me. I got kicked out. I was living out of my car for a month, But that's when you are operating according to survival. You need to believe in abundance first. You need to believe that you are known by spirit and you are seen and you are loved and you are taken care of. But the only way to connect with that flow and that love is through your own heart, through being present, through dropping out of the mind and being wide awake and present, not checked out, not half there, not sedated. So encouraging you to question your beliefs around scarcity versus abundance. Okay, our last card is called Hoard or Use It Up. Hoard or use it up. Okay, I see many possibilities but have a hard time deciding versus I seek counsel from others to get a rounded perspective. Wow, is that accurate for the type 9? So it's interesting when you take the personality type quiz, type 9s usually don't recognize themselves as a type 9. It takes type 9s a long time to identify their personality type because they're so capable of seeing things from everybody's different perspectives. Because you are so capable of having a well-rounded perspective, it leads you to not actually know what your opinion is. It's hard for you to actually identify what your own beliefs are. I see many possibilities but have a hard time deciding. So also deciding, right? If you're presented with a lot of choices and then say, which one of these 10 things do you want? You're like, I don't know, they all sound nice. That's when you're going to say, what do you want? So instead of taking a stand, asserting an opinion, you'd rather just pass the baton to somebody else and let them be the decision maker. So, but I like what they're saying about I seek counsel from others to get a rounded perspective. Type 9s typically say, I don't know, and then they stop there. They don't say, but I'll find out. I don't know means I give up. And so type 9s can get really, really stuck and stagnant because they feel like they don't know. You can always find out what you can always know. There's consulting your heart, there's getting help, but I want you to develop your inner knowingness as well, which does come again from going into the heart and connecting to your higher self. I think that was the only message for you in these bullet points. That was a type 5 card, and I don't feel like the others apply to you so well. So yes, the deep inner knowingness is an extremely important thing for you to learn. So what I want to tell you, type 9, is I teach all this stuff in the private membership. That's where we do a deeper dive Also, you can certainly check out my book, Your Vitality Personality. I teach you techniques there as well for connecting to your higher self, for connecting to your intuition, for developing that sense of inner knowingness. That inner certainty that you are capable of developing for yourself would totally change your life. If you had clarity within yourself about what you want, what you prefer, what you care about, if you didn't get stuck at I don't know and you actually were able to keep going and take action, think how it would change your life. Type 9s, a lot of type 9s end up not really fulfilling their potential or having the life that they imagined for themselves because they won't take the action to make it happen. And they start telling themselves it's not available, it's not possible. It is possible, and it's why you're here. I hope that makes sense for you, type 9. I've given you a lot to consider, a lot to chew on. I am sending you so much love and light. I know that you can get yourself there to your very happiest life, and I'm so rooting for you. Please give me a like for this video and subscribe to hear more. I'll be posting every month for you. To take the free personality type quiz, join the membership, get the book, or schedule a private guidance session, get everything you need at yourvitalitypersonality.com.